Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown have been teammates for about 8 seasons now, and these guys have always been compared to each other since the second Jayson Tatum walked into the NBA. Whether it's which play style do you prefer, which player is better to build around for the future, or which player is better to build around right now, these guys have constantly been compared to each other ever since Jayson Tatum came into the NBA. And why not? They stand around the same height, they have a similar play style, they're both wings, and a lot of people would think that these two guys did not mesh well together and couldn't win at the highest level with these two being your best players. But let's just say they proved everyone wrong. Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown won a championship together back in 2024, and it came with very solid roster construction and the perfect lineup to fit around these two guys' skill sets. And let's just say the conversation ramped up even more when Jaylen Brown won the Finals MVP, even though Jayson Tatum is considered the best player by the majority of NBA media. And I really do want to commend Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown for this. All of this stuff could have gotten in between them and split them up, but they stuck it out and they ended up winning a championship together. The Boston Celtics were absolutely dominant in the 2023-2024 NBA season, winning over 60 games, being a top 5 offense and defense, and a lot of it was because of the play of these two players. Well, let's just say history repeats itself. Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner are one of the league's greatest young duos in the NBA today. Both of these guys are under the age of 25 years old, and both of these guys have amazing stat lines that could show you that these guys are good enough to lead their team to a playoff push right now, but haven't yet reached the ceiling of what they could possibly be. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new episode of At the Buzzer Sports, where we talk all things basketball all the time. My name is John Drummond, and I know I said in the title, history repeats itself, and I do believe the Paolo and Franz situation is much like the Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown situation. So in this video, we are going to be talking about which player is better right now, which player has the higher ceiling, which player is better to build around right now, and which player is better to build around for the future. We're also going to be breaking down the play styles of both of these players, their strengths and their weaknesses. And we're also going to be talking about how the Orlando Magic should build their team around Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner to hopefully raise up that Larry O'Brien trophy. To start out, we're going to be talking about Franz Wagner, where he is coming off of a season where he averaged 24 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists on a 56% true shooting. Some of Franz Wagner's strengths are his driving, passing, finishing, and his defense, with some of his weaknesses being his outside shooting and his shot selection. And I do think Franz Wagner has the skill set to be one of the better wings in the NBA. Even regardless with the outside shooting, I think his first step in his ball handle as a 6'7", 6'8" wing is phenomenal. This is somebody that can play off the ball with cutting to the basket and flashing to the free throw line or to the elbow to make push shots, floaters, make interior passes. This is somebody that can play in the pick and roll. I would love to see him play with a more dynamic rim running type of big instead of a Wendell Carter Jr., but that could be for the future. And a guy like Desmond Bane is going to be a very big point for both of these players. I think Desmond Bane can really open up what Franz does. Franz is somebody that passes a lot out of his drives or out of his looks at the rim, just because of the lack of three-point shooting that the Orlando Magic have. Franz is somebody that can get to the rim consistently. He can put the ball on the floor and create things for himself and for others. And I think Desmond Bane is going to really open up what Franz can do. I can expect wider lanes for him to get to the basket. I can expect easier kick-out passes to the corner. I can expect more one-on-one opportunities for Franz, because for both of these players, these are guys that see 2 to 3 bodies every time they go to the paint. And for Franz to have the finishing ability that he does, I think that Desmond Bane opens that up a lot. And for a guy like Franz Wagner, who's getting to the rim consistently and doesn't really have the outside shooting that you would want him to, him shooting 73% inside the restricted area is very good. And I also want to talk about the defensive side of the ball. Franz Wagner is a very good on-ball defender, and he can also be very good off the ball as well. He can fight with guys in the post, he can play passing lanes, he can get out in transition, all the things that help impact the Magic to be a respectable offense or just to be a decent offense. Franz Wagner provides. But some of the weaknesses, and I will say the outside shooting isn't where you would like it to be. He's shooting 28% on 6 3-point attempts this season, and I think that's a concern. Just because if you're shooting 28% from 3 and you're shooting 6 threes a game, I think that has to go down. I think Franz Wagner needs to shoot at least 3 or 4 3-point attempts a game, and I think that can open up some things he can do offensively. I mean, in back-to-back postseasons, I know these are only one series, but in 2023, 2024, he shot 26% from three on 5 attempts, and then he shot 19% from three on 7 attempts. If you're shooting 19% from three, why are you shooting 7 3-pointers a game? And I just do think that's taking away from so much pressure Franz can put on the rim, and it's how many really good shots he can create for the players around him if he's taking 7 3-pointers a game. Like he's making 1 out of the 7 threes he's shooting a game. We can take that down some. He does not need to be shooting 7 threes a game. And I understand with the offensive situation that he is in, you do need to try and get up some type of threes, but if you're not making them to the clip, it's just better for you to continuously collapse the paint. And I think if he just knocks down those threes just a little bit and creates more for guys like Desmond Bane, maybe Jace Richardson, if he gets some minutes for Orlando this season, he's a really good 3-point shooter and off-ball creator. I think that can open up a lot for what the Magic do. And I also think Franz is a very good transition player. This season, he averaged 1.15 points per possession in transition on about 4 possessions a game in transition. With this being an Orlando team that's extremely limited offensively, once again, I'm going to be saying offensively limited because I don't think I can put into words how limited this Orlando Magic offense is. They don't have any floor spacing, and they don't have any creators outside of Franz and Paolo. And even this season, I project Franz Wagner to be 24 to 25 points per game, maybe 6 rebounds, 5 assists, still setting the floor for the Orlando Magic team because I don't think Jalen Suggs is the playmaker that you would want him to be at the point guard position. I think he's more used as that point of attack defender that he excels at. And I think they can use Franz, Paolo, and Desmond Bane to be their playmaker by committee. All 3 of those guys are very solid playmakers. Now we will be moving on to Paolo Banchero. This season, Paolo Banchero averaged 26 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, and 5 assists per game on a 55% true shooting and getting to the free throw line 8 times a game. Some of his strengths, in my opinion, would be his shot creation, his interior passing, his downhill ability, and his physical traits, while his weaknesses could be his shot selection, his outside shooting, and his defense. And I want to start off with the strengths with Paolo Banchero because, once again, you guys know how high I am on Paolo Banchero. You guys can look through my channel and see a bunch of different Paolo Banchero videos. He is one of, if not my favorite player in the NBA, but there are some weaknesses with Paolo Banchero's game, and I do want to start off with his shot selection. Paolo Banchero is somebody that is known to have one of the best physical attributes in the NBA, standing at 6'10", about 250 pounds, and can put the ball on the floor and really outstrength you and get to the basket whenever he wants. But sometimes we just don't see that. Sometimes Paolo Banchero can be guarded being guarded by a slimmer player or a smaller player, and we can see him taking a bunch of mid-range shots when we know he is much more valuable when he is constantly putting that pressure on the rim, to where we do see Paolo Banchero settle for a lot of mid-range shots, and he is around a 39 to 40% mid-range shooter, but it's just more, I would say it's a better output for the offense when he's collapsing the defense or just playing in that free throw line to top of the key area, to where he can make those interior passes and he can make those kick out passes and he can make passes out of the double team. And I think we saw that within the first 5 games of the season. And then we saw it again when it was more towards the end of the regular season. For about the last month of the season, or the last 24 games of Paolo Banchero's regular season, he was averaging 29 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists on a 58% true shooting. And the reason I'm still very high on Paolo is because I think that small stretch in between where he was averaging maybe 22 points per game on really negative efficiency was because he was still hurt, or he was still getting himself back into shape to play basketball again. We know Paolo Banchero missed a huge chunk of games throughout the middle of the season because he got hurt after his first 5 games. And this is why I'm so high on this duo, because we saw peaks and flashes of what they could be next season or the year after throughout the entire season. And I think this is the season where they can put it all together. And I think Desmond Bane opens up what Paolo Banchero can do on offense, because I think Paolo can play closer to the rim. I don't have a problem with Paolo playing on the perimeter, but I would much rather him play between that 10 to 16 feet area, to where he doesn't have to attack from the perimeter as much and he can focus on getting to the free throw line as much as possible. This is somebody I see averaging 28 to 30 points per game, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists while getting to the free throw line 10 times a game. And while I do believe it is valuable to be able to have that type of volume on an offense that is so limited like the Orlando Magic, Franz and Paolo may not be the most efficient, but when you really look at how these guys are being guarded and how the defense ignores the outside shooters majority of the time, you would understand and you would just give it a little bit of grace because of the offensive situation. When we look at how Paolo and Franz get to the rim and the bodies that they see consistently, the ability to just get up those shots and create shots for yourself and others as consistently as they have, I could still applaud that. And this is why I think Desmond Bane is such a major key for what these guys can do. He can take responsibilities away from both of them by creating on the perimeter, and he can also space the floor for them as well as they possibly could. Now, this is the part that really separates for a lot of people, Franz and Paolo, and I think it's more of the team results when Paolo is on the floor without Franz and when Franz is on the floor without Paolo. This season, when Paolo is on the floor and Franz is off, the Orlando Magic are a minus 7.6 offensive rating. And when Franz is on the court and Paolo is off, they are a plus 1.2. And over the stretch of games where Paolo was averaging the 29 points and 5 assists, the Orlando Magic were 21st in offensive rating and they were 22nd in efficiency. And I guess that would lead me to the next point, that Franz right now just has the higher floor as a player, because I do think his decision making is better. I do think his finishing around the rim is better, and I do think his ball handle is better. But when I say who would I rather have for the future, or who do I think ceiling is higher, I think it's Paolo Banchero. I think he has all the physical traits to be a top tier scorer at his position, on top of being a really good passer. And I do think he has a defensive ceiling to where he can be contributing, or he can be a positive defensively, and right now he just hasn't been. I think with his strength and size, he could be a solid post defender and a solid rim protector, but he just has not shown the motor to be that. But I do think this Orlando Magic team is close. I think they are close, and I truly do think that Tristan da Silva is somebody that's going to play a pivotal role for the Orlando Magic over the next few years. I think this is a guy that can just come in and stick. I think he can fit in a lot of different roles. I think he can shoot the three well. I think he could be very versatile defensively as a rim protector or an on-ball defender as well. I think Anthony Black is going to be very pivotal as well, because I see a lot of flashes of what he can be as a passer and a floor general. But I truly do think the thing that they are missing is a big that can stretch the floor. A guy like Miles Turner would have been fantastic for this Orlando Magic team. Or just somebody that could be a vertical threat, somebody that can catch lobs, somebody that can run in transition, somebody that can roll hard and rebound and protect the rim. I just think that would open up this Orlando Magic team so much. And the reason I compare this team to, or the reason I compare this duo to Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, is a lot of people came in thinking Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown wouldn't be able to fit together. But when you put the right team around these two players, we saw that that was able to get you to a championship and win a championship. And I think Franz and Paolo are just as talented. I think with the proper versatile defenders, three-point shooters, rebounders, and transition players, the Orlando Magic can be a force to be reckoned with, and Paolo and Franz are going to be at the head of the ship. And to cap off the video, I would think that Franz is the better player right now at this moment, and I think it's a very small gap. I think Paolo is the player with the higher ceiling and the player that you would want to build around for the future. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys like this type of content, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at ATB Sports 1. Make sure you guys follow me on TikTok at TheBuzzerENT. Make sure you guys join my playback room at TheBuzzer Sports, where we are going to be watching every single Laker game this season, and we're going to be watching a game every single day. And with all that being said, I will see you guys next time. Peace.